learn, my boy. Nobody talks like that about King Kong Bundy.
In professional wrestling, size isn't just about making an impression, it can be the key to dominating the ring. Throughout history, WWE, AEW, and other promotions have showcased true giants, wrestlers so massive that every impact shook the arena like an earthquake. But here's the big question. Who is the heaviest wrestler of all time? From towering giants to absolute human mountains, today we're looking back at the heaviest superstars to ever step into the squared circle and what made them truly unforgettable. So get ready, because what you're about to see redefines the meaning of brute strength in professional wrestling.
Look at his power! Look at this!
Andre the Giant, the eighth wonder of the world. When talking about giants in wrestling history, Andre the Giant isn't just on the list, he defines it. Born André-René Roussimoff in 1946, this French colossus didn't just leave his mark in the wrestling ring, he became a cultural icon whose legacy transcended generations.
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
From a young age, his growth was unstoppable. By the time he was 12 years old, he weighed 240 pounds, 109 kilograms, and towered over the adults around him. But what made him truly unique wasn't just his size. It was his charisma and his ability to turn his condition into a legend. Standing at 7 feet 4 inches, 2.24 meters, and weighing up to 520 pounds, 236 kilograms, Andre dominated the wrestling world with a presence unlike any other. His legendary rivalry with Hulk Hogan culminated in WrestleMania 3 in 1987, creating one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. But outside the ring, his life was just as fascinating. Stories claim that he once drank 119 beers in a single night, and his massive appetite only added to his mythical persona. Nicknamed the eighth wonder of the world, Andre didn't just change professional wrestling, he paved the way for future giants to be seen as true superstars. His legacy remains strong to this day, and his impact on pop culture is still felt worldwide. Rikishi, the giant who danced and dominated the ring. If there's one wrestler who proved that size and entertainment could go hand in hand, it was Rikishi. Standing at 6 feet 1 inch, 1.85 meters, and weighing 425 pounds, 193 kilograms, this Samoan powerhouse not only dominated the ring, but also won over fans with his unique style. Before he became Rikishi, this Samoan legend had multiple personas in WWE. However, it wasn't until the late 90s that he adopted his iconic look, sunglasses, short trunks, and a carefree attitude, becoming one of the most entertaining superstars of the Attitude Era. His signature move, the stink face, became one of WWE's most famous moments. In this move, he would trap his opponents in the corner and rub his massive backside in their face.
You know, I want to be in there as one of these things where it's an important big day, and just thank you for considering.
It may sound ridiculous, but it became one of the most iconic and beloved moves in WWE history. However, Rikishi wasn't just a comedy act. He had incredible mobility for his size, surprising his opponents with agility and quick moves that no one expected from someone of his weight. One of his most memorable moments was his role in the legendary faction Too Cool, alongside Scotty, Too Hotty, and Grandmaster Sexay. Together, they not only dominated in the ring, but they turned every match into an electrifying show filled with charisma and dance moves. Beyond the entertainment factor, Rikishi was part of the legendary Samoan wrestling family, a dynasty that includes names like The Rock, Roman Reigns, and the USOs. His influence in wrestling is undeniable, and his legacy lives on in modern WWE. Although his WWE career slowed down in the mid-2000s, Rikishi remains one of the most beloved figures in wrestling history. His 2015 induction into the WWE Hall of Fame solidified his status as one of the most iconic wrestlers of his generation. Braun Strowman, the monster among men. When a wrestler earns the nickname the Monster Among Men, you know they're not just another competitor. Standing at 6 feet 8 inches, 2.03 meters, and weighing 385 pounds, 175 kilograms, Braun Strowman has cemented himself as one of the most dominant forces in modern wrestling. Since joining WWE in 2013, Strowman has impressed not just with his size, but with his rare combination of brute strength and agility. Unlike many giants in wrestling history, Strowman doesn't rely on slow, clumsy moves.
I said, do y'all want to see me do it one more time?
His ability to sprint at full speed, lift massive opponents, and even perform aerial maneuvers has made him one of a kind in his category. His main roster debut in 2015 was explosive, but his rise to stardom came when he began destroying opponents one after another, creating unforgettable moments with his superhuman strength. Who could forget the time he flipped an ambulance with Roman Reigns inside, or when he lifted the entire ring with the Big Show on top of it? Over the years, he has competed in high-profile matches at WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, starring in epic rivalries against Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and The Fiend. Whether as an unstoppable villain or a crowd-favorite hero, Strowman has proven that his presence in WWE is undeniable. Kamala, the Ugandan giant who terrified the ring. In wrestling, it's not just about size and strength, presence and character matter just as much. And when it comes to unforgettable characters, Kamala is one of the most iconic of all time. Standing at 6 feet 7 inches, 2.01 meters, and weighing 380 pounds, 172 kilograms, James Harris, better known as Kamala, was one of the most feared and fascinating figures in wrestling history. His character, the Ugandan giant, portrayed him as a savage warrior, supposedly from deep within the African jungle. With his painted body, tribal attire, and ritualistic entrance music, Kamala was a spectacle no one could ignore.
For the conversion of the Ugandan giant, you opened up your heart to him.
Kamala's career began in the 1970s, but it was in the 1980s and 1990s that he became a true WWF icon. His feud with Hulk Hogan took his fame to the next level, and his rivalry with The Undertaker became one of the most legendary in WWE history. Though his character was portrayed as a wild, primitive man, in reality, Kamala had incredible charisma. Despite being presented as a villain, fans adored him, and his presence in the ring always guaranteed a unique performance. Beyond wrestling, Kamala became a symbol of the extravagance of WWE's golden era. While his character was built on stereotypes that might be considered controversial today, his impact on the industry was undeniable. Yokozuna, the sumo wrestler who dominated WWE. When talking about wrestling giants, Yokozuna is a name that cannot be overlooked. Born Rodney Anoa'i, this colossal figure forever changed the landscape of WWE in the 1990s. His debut in 1992 marked the beginning of a new era, and just 1 year later, at only 26 years old, he became the WWF champion, making him one of the youngest champions in history. But his true impact went beyond championships. It was his unbelievable size and agility that made him a one-of-a-kind phenomenon.
I started when I was 17. My whole family's in the business.
Standing at 6 feet 4 inches, 1.93 meters, and weighing nearly 700 pounds, 317 kilograms, Yokozuna was a force of nature. What made him truly remarkable, however, was his unexpected speed despite his enormous size. His signature moves, such as his sumo-style charge and his devastating leg drop, made him a nightmare for any opponent. But the very factor that made him a star also became his biggest challenge. As his weight continued to increase, his mobility decreased and his health began to decline. Despite this, his influence in wrestling remained untouchable, and in 2012, he was rightfully inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, ensuring that his legacy would never be forgotten. Big Show, the giant who dominated the ring. When talking about giants in professional wrestling, few names are as imposing as Big Show. Born Paul White, this colossus, standing at over 7 feet, 2.13 meters tall, became a legend not just for his size, but for his charisma and in-ring ability. Throughout his career, his weight fluctuated between 383 and nearly 500 pounds, depending on his physical conditioning and role in WWE. At his heaviest in 2016, he reached an astonishing 500 pounds, making him an unstoppable force in the ring. His wrestling debut came in the 1990s under the name The Giant in WCW, where he quickly won the World Heavyweight Championship. After joining WWE in 1999, he cemented himself as one of the most dominant stars in the industry, taking on legends such as The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena. What was truly shocking about Big Show was not just his size, but his agility. In his early years, he was known for executing drop kicks and even top rope moves, something rarely seen in a man of his stature.
When I go by strength, it's guys you work with in the ring and their stability. Now, there's a lot of guys that are strong that can throw weight.
Over the years, his character evolved constantly, shifting from a fearsome villain to a beloved fan favorite. His influence transcended wrestling, as he also appeared in movies and even starred in his own Netflix series, The Big Show Show. In his later years, he underwent an incredible transformation, losing a significant amount of weight to improve his health and performance. Finally, in 2021, he stepped away from full-time wrestling, but his legacy remains untouched. Now let's talk about a viral image that has been causing a stir on social media. Is it really Big Show, or is it an artistic creation by a fan? The resemblance is uncanny, sparking all kinds of speculation. What do you think? Is it the legendary Big Show himself, or a masterpiece created by a fan? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Haystacks Calhoun, the country giant who ruled the ring. Before giants became the norm in professional wrestling, Haystacks Calhoun was already breaking barriers. Born William D. Calhoun in 1934, this massive wrestler embodied raw, rural American strength. Even in his youth, his size was extraordinary. By the time he was 14 years old, he already weighed 300 pounds, 136 kilolali, and he never stopped growing. According to legend, he was so strong that he could lift cows with his bare hands, which only fueled his larger-than-life reputation before he even stepped into a ring. At his peak, he weighed an estimated 601 pounds, 273 kilograms, making him one of the most imposing figures of his era. However, what truly made him special wasn't just his size, but his natural charisma. With his friendly farmer persona and good-natured attitude, he captivated audiences and became one of the most beloved stars of classic wrestling. He had memorable rivalries with legends like Bruno Sammartino and Bobo Brazil, laying the groundwork for the super heavyweights who would come after him. Giant Haystacks, the UK's colossal force. In British wrestling, few names were as intimidating as Giant Haystacks. Standing at 6 feet 11 inches, 2.11 meters, and weighing nearly 700 pounds, 317 kilograms, this massive titan was one of the most destructive forces to ever step into a ring. Inspired by Haystacks Calhoun, this giant left his mark on UK wrestling, particularly in the iconic world of sport promotion. His sheer size and presence made him virtually indestructible, capable of crushing his opponents with his overwhelming power. But it wasn't just his physique that made him stand out.
Well, the second part is where I would straight across him, and he certainly wouldn't move.
Giant Haystacks had an innate charisma and a personality that made him larger than life. His wrestling style was punishing, quite literally, and fans couldn't take their eyes off him. His success wasn't limited to the UK. He also competed internationally, even making an appearance in WCW, where he wrestled under the name Loch Ness. Unfortunately, health issues cut his career short. Big Daddy V, the giant of many eras. Few wrestlers have undergone as many transformations as Big Daddy V, also known as Viscera or Mabel. Born Nelson Frazier Jr., this Titan debuted in WWE in 1993 as part of the Men on a Mission tag team, a group that stood out with its colorful style and unmatched energy. From the start, his imposing presence set him apart. Weighing over 487 pounds at his peak, his mere entrance into the ring was enough to intimidate anyone. In 1995, his career took an unexpected turn when he won the King of the Ring tournament, adopting the persona of King Mabel, one of the most feared villains of the era. However, his most iconic transformation came years later when, under the name Viscera, he joined the Ministry of Darkness, the mysterious faction led by The Undertaker. With a terrifying look, white contact lenses, and a dark trench coat, Viscera became an unforgettable figure during the Attitude Era, but his evolution didn't stop there. In 2007, he reinvented himself once again, adopting the persona of Big Daddy V in ECW, embracing a street-style character while remaining just as dominant. Despite his massive size, he was surprisingly agile, moving quickly and executing unexpected maneuvers for a man of his weight. Outside the ring, his colleagues remembered him as a kind-hearted and friendly person. Tragically, his life was cut short in 2014 when he passed away at the age of 43 due to a heart attack. However, his legacy lives on as fans continue to remember him as one of the most impactful giants in wrestling history. The Maguire Twins, the heaviest tag team in history. If you think one giant in the ring is impressive, imagine two. The Maguire Twins, Billy and Benny, weren't just wrestlers. They were officially recognized as the world's heaviest twins. Together, they weighed an astonishing 1,468 pounds, 666 kilograms, something never before seen in professional wrestling. Billy Maguire weighed around 723 pounds, 328 kilograms, while Benny reached 745 pounds, 338 kilograms. With their combined weight, they were nearly impossible to move, making them a virtually unstoppable tag team. But beyond their massive size, what made them truly unique was their incredible bond. They weren't just tag team partners, they were inseparable in real life. Their synchronicity and teamwork helped them stand out in a wrestling world where tag teams of their size were unheard of.
We have to get the ring reinforced, and they put double plywood and stuff like that.
Tragically, their wrestling careers were cut short. Billy Maguire passed away in 1979, bringing an end to their legendary duo. However, their legacy remains intact, and to this day, they are still remembered as the heaviest tag team in professional wrestling history. Man Mountain Mike, an unstoppable force of nature. If you've ever wondered just how massive a wrestler can be, Man Mountain Mike might be the answer. Born in 1941, this towering figure burst onto the wrestling scene in 1967 and quickly became a sensation due to his colossal size. Weighing in at an astonishing 625 pounds, 283 kilograms, he was practically immovable inside the ring. Although his career wasn't as long as some other wrestling giants, his sheer presence left a lasting impression. He didn't need to talk much or perform flashy moves. His size alone spoke volumes. During the 1970s, his image became synonymous with brute strength, and while he never competed in the biggest wrestling promotions, he left a mark on the regional circuits and in the memories of classic wrestling fans. Tragically, his life was cut short in 1988 when he passed away at the age of 47. However, his legacy as one of the heaviest wrestlers of all time remains firmly cemented in wrestling history. The Great Khali, the Titan of India. WWE has seen many giants over the years, but few were as imposing as the Great Khali, standing at 7 feet 1 inch, 2.16 meters, and weighing 420 pounds, 191 kilograms. This Indian-born colossus became one of the most unforgettable figures in modern wrestling history. Before joining WWE, Khali had a successful career in bodybuilding, which made him even more intimidating when he stepped into the ring. His 2006 debut was unforgettable, as he immediately challenged The Undertaker, establishing himself as a dominant force. His presence alone was enough to strike fear in his opponents. With gigantic hands and limited but devastating mobility, his wrestling style focused on crushing his opponents with brutal strikes and his feared finishing move, the Kali Vice grip, in which he squeezed his opponent's head with his enormous hands. Despite his in-ring limitations, his popularity skyrocketed, especially in his home country of India, where he became a symbol of strength and inspiration. Earthquake, the titan who shook the WWF. If there was ever a wrestler who made the ring tremble, literally, it was Earthquake. Born John Tenter, this 2.01 meter, 6'7", 468 pound, 212 kilograms, Colossus not only dominated the WWF in the 1990s, but also left an unforgettable mark on wrestling history. But his story didn't start in the wrestling ring. Before becoming a professional wrestler, Earthquake trained in sumo wrestling in Japan, a sport where only the strongest and most resilient thrive. This background gave him exceptional stability and agility for his size, making him a nightmare for his opponents. When he debuted in WWF in 1990, his impact was immediate. His character was intimidating, but what terrified his rivals the most was his devastating finisher, the dreaded Earthquake Splash. With this move, Earthquake would throw all his weight onto his opponent, creating a brutal impact that made the ring shake and left no one able to get up. One of the most shocking moments of his career was his rivalry with Hulk Hogan. Not only did he defeat Hogan, but he injured him with his destructive attack, igniting one of the most intense feuds of WWF's golden era. He also had memorable battles against legends like Bret Hart and Big Boss Man, solidifying his place as one of the most feared super heavyweights of his time. After his WWF run, Tenter continued to dominate in WCW under the name Avalanche and later in Japan as Shamrock. However, his legacy as Earthquake remains his most iconic and continues to be remembered by wrestling fans. Akebono, the Yokozuna who conquered the ring. When it comes to colossal wrestlers, Akebono cannot be left out, the sumo champion who left his mark on professional wrestling. Before stepping into a wrestling ring, Akebono was a sumo legend, achieving the rank of Yokozuna, the highest title in the sport. Weighing 514 pounds at his peak, he was one of the most dominant forces in sumo history. But in 2005, he decided to try his hand at professional wrestling, making his WWE debut in a high-profile match against Big Show at WrestleMania 21. The bout was one of the most talked-about matches of the event, as the two massive titans faced off in an authentic sumo match inside the ring. Although his time in WWE was short, his impact was undeniable. He later continued his wrestling career in New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW, and Dragon Gate, where he used his sumo experience to develop a unique wrestling style. What made Akebono special was that he didn't try to conform to the traditional wrestling style. Instead, he incorporated sumo techniques, making each of his matches feel distinct and unique. Even after retiring, his legacy remains intact, remembered as a wrestler who broke barriers and proved that sumo and professional wrestling could blend in a spectacular way. Happy Humphrey, the heaviest wrestler in history. When it comes to super heavyweight wrestlers, no competitor outweighs Happy Humphrey. In the 1950s, this giant became a one-of-a-kind attraction, thanks to his colossal size and charismatic personality. His weight fluctuated between 800 and 1,000 pounds, 363, 454 kilograms, with the most frequently cited figure being around 900 pounds, 408 kilograms. To put this into perspective, he weighed more than two average wrestlers combined. But what was truly astonishing about Happy Humphrey wasn't just his size, but also his surprising agility in the ring. Despite his extreme dimensions, he could still move unexpectedly well, making his matches a spectacle to watch. Outside the ring, his massive size caused everyday challenges. It was said that he once got stuck in phone booths and theater seats, further adding to his larger-than-life legend. However, what few people know is that after retiring, he lost 600 pounds, 272 kilograms, in one of the most incredible transformations ever seen. His story is one of perseverance and resilience, and his record as the heaviest wrestler of all time remains unbroken. King Kong Bundy, the monster who wanted to rule the WWF. If you earn the nickname King Kong, it's because you're truly a beast in the ring. Standing at 1.93 meters, 6'4", and weighing 458 pounds, 207 kilograms, King Kong Bundy wasn't just massive, he had a ruthless attitude that made him one of the most feared villains in 1980s wrestling. From the moment he debuted in WWF, Bundy stood out for his sheer presence and brutal fighting style. It wasn't just about his size, it was about his merciless aggression. When Bundy stepped into the ring, there was no escape. His most devastating moves included the Avalanche and the Bundy Splash, both designed to crush opponents with unstoppable force. When Bundy landed on someone, it was game over. But what truly made him famous was his defiant attitude. His legendary catchphrase, "I'm going to finish this match in 5 minutes," made it clear that he had no intention of playing fair. For Bundy, matches were meant to be short, brutal, and merciless. His biggest moment came at WrestleMania 2, where he faced Hulk Hogan in a steel cage match for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. This legendary battle not only became one of the most iconic matches of its time, but it also solidified Bundy as a true titan of the ring. But his impact wasn't limited to wrestling. Bundy transcended the sport, appearing in movies and TV shows, expanding his legacy far beyond the squared circle. His influence is still felt today, as many giants who followed took inspiration from his destructive wrestling style. Mark Henry, the world's strongest man who dominated WWE. When it comes to raw power in wrestling, no one can carry that title more proudly than Mark Henry. Nicknamed the world's strongest man, Henry was not only a feared competitor inside the ring, but also left an unforgettable mark on WWE history. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches, 1.93 meters, and weighing between 360 and over 400 pounds, 181 kg plus, throughout his career, Henry was a colossus in both size and skill. But his journey started long before he stepped into a wrestling ring. Before becoming a wrestler, Mark Henry was already a legend in the world of powerlifting. He won the 1995 World Weightlifting Championship and even represented the United States at the 1996 Olympic Games. With these credentials, he wasn't just another wrestler, he was a genuine powerhouse. His WWF debut in 1996 was explosive, as he was immediately presented as a superstar with superhuman strength. Over time, his character evolved, shifting from an unstoppable force to a comedic and beloved fan favorite during different phases of his career. However, his moment of glory came in 2011, when he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. During this time, his persona transformed into a true monster, intimidating anyone who stood in his way. His legendary fake retirement segment fooled the entire world until he viciously attacked John Cena, delivering one of the most shocking moments in WWE history. After over 2 decades in wrestling, Mark Henry retired in 2018, but his legacy lives on. It's hard to imagine anyone else matching his unique blend of strength and presence inside the ring. Hulk Hogan, the legend that never faded. When you talk about professional wrestling, one name always stands above the rest: Hulk Hogan. With his larger-than-life charisma and unmatched popularity, Hogan was the face of WWE during the Golden Era. However, his final years in the business brought both nostalgia and controversy. By the mid-2000s, his physique showed signs of aging. Weighing around 350 pounds, 159 kilograms, he was no longer the dominant athlete he once was, but his presence alone still captivated audiences. One of the most memorable moments of Hogan's later career came at WrestleMania X8 in 2002, when he faced The Rock. This iconic match wasn't just a battle between 2 generations of wrestling superstars, but also the climax of his Hollywood Hogan persona, the villainous role he perfected in WCW as the leader of the NWO. Despite entering the match as the bad guy, the crowd completely turned in his favor, cheering for him in a wave of nostalgia that reminded everyone of the era when Hogan ruled wrestling with his famous hulking up routine. It was a powerful reminder that no matter his age, Hulk Hogan was always a spectacle in himself. After his last major WWE run, Hogan shocked the world by joining TNA Wrestling, now Impact Wrestling, in 2010. Instead of competing full-time, Hogan took on a behind-the-scenes role, helping to develop storylines and mentor new talent. One of his biggest creative moves was the formation of the faction Immortal, an attempt to recreate the magic of the NWO with a new generation of wrestlers. However, his time in TNA was not without controversy. Many fans felt that his presence overshadowed younger stars, and his creative influence was often criticized. Despite this, his TNA run proved that he could still generate buzz and keep fans talking. Even after stepping away from full-time wrestling, Hulk Hogan never stopped being a public figure. His reality show, Hogan Knows Best, gave him a new platform to connect with fans in the 2000s. His numerous appearances in movies, TV shows, and commercials kept him relevant in mainstream entertainment. However, his life outside the ring was also marked by controversy. In 2016, Hogan won a high-profile legal battle against Gawker Media after they leaked private content without his consent. This lawsuit sparked debates about privacy and media ethics and ultimately led to a massive financial victory for Hogan. However, he also faced serious scandals that damaged his relationship with WWE, even leading to his temporary removal from the WWE Hall of Fame. Despite these ups and downs, his wrestling legacy remains untouchable. Although Hulk Hogan no longer wrestles, his impact on WWE is still undeniable. His appearances at special events and his influence on new generations of wrestlers keep him alive in the history of professional wrestling. For many, Hogan will always be synonymous with WWE and Hulkamania, and his contribution to wrestling's global growth is unquestionable. From giants who dominated with their presence to heavyweights with unstoppable power, these wrestlers left an unforgettable mark on the industry. Their impact still lives on in the memories of fans and will continue to inspire future generations. But now, it's your turn. Which of these colossal wrestlers do you think left the biggest mark in wrestling history? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinion. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned, because in our next video, we'll continue to explore the most incredible stories from the world of professional wrestling. See you next time.